Hey all, Tony Bing here, hello and welcome to another beginner's guide for Marvel Heroes Omega. Now this guide will cover Black Bolt and it's applicable to the PlayStation, Xbox and also PC version of Black Bolt. So what we'll cover in the video is we'll have a look at his traits and resource, we'll check out a few of his costumes, we'll then check out his signature and ultimate, and he actually has two signatures which is pretty awesome. And at the end of the video we have some gameplay where we show off a selection of melee skills and then we'll show off a selection of range skills. But first up here we will check out the traits and resource. We start off here then looking at his actual offensive trait, and that is Terrigen Augmentation. So with this he gains critical hit damage 15%, and his archetypes are fighting and energy, so you can either get the crit rating multiplier through fighting or through energy you can get the resource cost reduction. Now defensive trait is Inhuman Constitution, and that will provide you with a defense and deflect rating multiplier of 20%. On top of that he has Close Quarters, so when you hit with a melee power you gain 8% damage reduction for 3 seconds. Now when it comes to his resource, this was previously called energy, but it caused a lot of confusion due to the energy stat and damage type. It's now called charge, but the actual resource itself is energy manipulator, and with this you generate charge with some powers and then spend it with others, and it rapidly drains while you're out of combat. So it provides some interesting mechanics with them. You need to build it up and then fire it all off. But what we'll do for the next section of the video is we'll check out a few of his costumes. First costume we look at here is his default. It's the all new, all different, and I quite like the look of this, especially with the webbing under the arms. Next costume we have here is his classic look. It's pretty simple looking, but I'd imagine old school fans of Black Bolt will like this particular costume. But for the next section we'll check out his signatures, and he's actually got 2 of them, which is pretty great. For his signatures he actually has quite an interesting mechanic then, in that he has a melee and a range signature, but they don't gain the signature tag unless you actually use talents. So the first one we look at is the melee one. This is Master Blow. Now there's 2 tooltips. You can see it when it's not spec'd into a signature, it's got a 20-second cooldown. When you do spec into the signature you get a guaranteed brutal strike, which is fantastic, and then the cooldown goes up to 30 seconds. So it's really quite interesting there. But now that we've covered the melee one, let's have a look at the ranged one. So this signature here will be the more iconic one for Black Bolt fans. It's tagged as ranged, this is his default, and it's also called Killing Word. So it has the 20-second cooldown if you spec out of it. If you're spec'd into it, it's got the 30-second cooldown, and it does a whopping amount of damage over a large area, and it actually stuns the enemy as well. It also restores your charge, I should add that as well. But for the next section what we'll do is we'll check out his ultimate skill. For the ultimate we have a skill called Royal Decree. So as it says, don't hold back, letting your voice be heard as the power of your quasi-sonic scream obliterates all in the vicinity. Now this will instantly destroy non-boss enemies. You do an initial damage packet to bosses and mini bosses. You leave a dot on them for 8 seconds, stuns them for 3 seconds, and you are invincible for 2 seconds as well. But it really does look pretty great, as you can see as well. Now for the next and final section of the video we'll check out a selection of his melee and range skills, and it's the melee skills that we'll check out first. For this first gameplay segment we'll run through the subway operation, we'll face off against Shocker, and we'll showcase a selection of his melee skills. Now the main, I was about to say spender, but it's not really a spender because it generates resource. Your main filler attack, I'll call it, would be Close Combat. So you'll punch away on the enemy and you restore 5% of your maximum charge. The next skill you have is your Crash Down skill, which is Split the Sky, 6-second cooldown, provides vulnerability for 10 seconds, and through talents we've got it where it adds something called Cosmic Confluence, which is the effect you can see on screen right now. It looks pretty amazing and it works as a dot, so you'll jump in, apply that dot and then start punching away on them. The next skill we have is Swooping Strikes. This one does 6 different hits. You're invulnerable while you're dashing about hitting the enemy, and it also restores 20% of your charge. The next follow-up skill is Regal Mandate. So this particular one, you hit the enemy for 10 times, you gain 50% damage reduction while the power is actually active. It has an 8-second cooldown, but if you have enough charge for this particular skill, in this instance it's 200 charge, the cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds, so you can use it every 2 seconds, and it's great for actually closing in an enemy because it's got a movement tag and you'll leap straight in the enemy's face. You'll notice that with quite a few of the skills, actually 3 of them so far, the Split the Sky, Swooping Strikes and Regal Mandate, all have the movement tag, so it definitely does have a lot of mobility. This next skill that we look at is Opening Moves. This is another skill with the movement tag and it allows you to close in an enemy. It's classed as a generator because it generates 5% of your maximum charge and it's got a low 4-second cooldown. The final skill we look at before we'll face off against Shocker and use all the skills is Inhuman Shockwave. So this is a spammable trash clearer and it also works as a weaken as well. But what we'll do now, as mentioned, we'll fire off all these skills so you can get to actually see them, and then once we take down Shocker, we'll then go into the Kingpin's warehouse, take down Dr. Octopus, and we'll show off the range skills as well. As mentioned then, for this particular segment we'll show off the ranged skills he has, and we'll show off a selection of the ranged skills he has. Now the main filler I'm using at the moment, and this actually regenerates 5% of your charge, so it's very similar to the melee filler. It's called Quasi-Sonic Bolt. It's got a really nice animation and quick attack speed on it. The next skill we have is Quasi-Sonic Geyser. This one works as a dot and provides vulnerability, and you can fire over one area with a 6-second duration. The next skill is Quasi-Sonic Torrent. So this particular one will slow the enemy. Duration and slows 4 seconds. It has an 8-second cooldown, and if you have charge, the cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds down to 2 seconds. So you can see quite a few of the skills that we've actually covered so far. They're similar to the melee skills and they're just really ranged equivalents there. The next skill we have anyway is Terrigen Echo. So you'll fire out a ripple of energy and it bounces towards the enemy and then comes back, and with this it will restore 50% of your charge and it gives you a buff of 10% to your range power damage. The buff is for 8 seconds and the cooldown of this actual skill is for 8 seconds as well there. Our next cooldown is Terrigen Breath. So this particular one will pull enemies towards you. It does work as a range skill however, so you can choose where they're pulled to, and it restores 20% of your max charge and it has a low 4-second cooldown, so it's great for grouping enemies together, and then you can fire off the geyser on top of them and just whittle them down. Now the final skill we'll look at here, this is a spammable trash clearer one. This is Quasi-Sonic Blast. So hurl your fists through the air, arcing energy waves off them that pulverise enemies from afar. Pretty simple skill, but it does a job for taking out trash. Now with all the skills covered, that's the end of another beginner's guide for Marvel Heroes Omega. I hope as always this guide was useful. I'll let you enjoy the gameplay really from here on out because we've still got a little bit to go until we get to Dr. Octopus, but as always, if there's any questions feel free to ask and I'll see you all again soon.